welcome to my podcast, In the Light of Isla. I'm so excited about this. This is something I've been putting off for a really long time because I'm so busy creating my course, the Birth and Family Blueprint. I'm a busy mum of two, but you know what? Done is better than perfect. So I am here with my baby Ali recording this. So you might hear coos in the background, you might hear dogs barking, and all of that. But I'm here, I'm showing up, and I'm bringing you this podcast in the depths of motherhood. And that is what it's all about. This is the reason why I wanted to open up this space, this podcast, is so that we can open up deeper conversations and discussions on motherhood, identity shifts, birth that doesn't go to plan, the realness, the rawness. I feel like there really needs to be a space for that, and I don't think social media such as Instagram is really the space. I hope I am keeping you company today, whether you're cooking, whether you're driving, whether you are doing household tasks or whatever it is. Let me keep you company, because I know motherhood, when you're alone at home with the kiddies and your partner's at work, sometimes you don't have a soul to talk to, well, an adult soul to talk to, and it's really lonely. So yeah, that's another reason why I wanted to bring you this podcast, because listening to podcasts myself, now, like even now, my baby, I'm at home and my partner works long hours. So listening to podcasts really keeps me company, you know, voice notes with my sister and my friends, that keeps me company. It makes me feel like I'm less alone. So yeah, let's get started, shall we? If you voted on my poll, a lot of you voted for me to talk about my story up until now. So that is what we'll start with in this episode, is my story, going from someone who didn't have any babies to into motherhood, basically. And yeah, I will just put a little disclaimer in right now because my story is quite deep. I've been through a hell of a lot really. So if you're sensitive to topics such as baby loss, such as twin pregnancies, cesarean birth, intervention births, I guess you could call it, postnatal depression, anxiety, and those key themes, then just be extra mindful listening to this podcast today, or don't listen at all. That's totally fine as well. So yeah, just be mindful if you feel like those could be a trigger to you. So In the Light of Isla podcast, that is where it all began. My pregnancy with Isla. So I had a feeling I was pregnant. And I kept saying to my partner, Mikey, I don't know, my period's late. It's like a week late. He was like, oh, but it's been late like the past few months. I don't think you are. Like, my cycle was all over the place. I have endometriosis. So sometimes my cycle can be all over the place. So yeah, we didn't think much of it. We went up to Kilda for a walk. Kilda, if you don't know, Northumberland area, it's a beautiful forest with a big a big reservoir. Yes, a reservoir. And it's beautiful there. So we went there, and I remember thinking, oh, my boobs feel a bit full. Like they look good. They look good. They're quite big, and they hurt. That they were hurting that day. And I was getting cramps, but I just thought, you know, my period's coming. So anyway, cut a long story short of that, a couple days passed, and I was like, right, let's take a test. Lo and behold, pregnant. I remember feeling really anxious in my early pregnancy, just like a gut feeling that something was going to go wrong, and I couldn't pinpoint it. But I remember getting like really sharp ovary pain at the beginning of my pregnancy, and I just wanted to book in a early scan to check what was going on, check if everything's okay. So that's what we did. I was 6 weeks and 6 days, according to the dates, and we went for the scan. She put it up transvaginally, because obviously if you are lower than, I think, 10 weeks, you have to have the transvaginal ultrasound. And she could see it. She could see the baby there, the little blob, and she was like, yep, there's a heartbeat, there's a heartbeat. And I remember seeing it on the screen and thinking, that looks big. Like, that's a big blob, because I had Googled, right? I'd Googled what it should look like at 6 weeks. And I kept watching. We kept looking at the screen going, oh, thank God, a heartbeat. Everything's in the right place. Everything's good. Everything's fine. And then before our eyes, I kid you not, that blob, as she moved the Doppler around inside, that blob turned into 2. I'm getting shivers talking about this. And I was like, okay. And the sonographer was like, and there's baby number 2, who also has a heartbeat. I just went quiet. I think Mikey was like, what? Mikey was literally like, 2? Baby 2? What? And she was like, yeah, 2 heartbeats. You've got twins. And literally I was silent. And she looked at me and she was like, are you okay, Mama? Are you okay? And I was like, yeah. She was like, are you happy? And I was like, I just looked at Mikey and I was just so nervous. I was like, twins? Like, are you joking? I think I came out of that scan feeling frazzled, really frazzled, but then excited, you know? You would be really excited for twins. Yeah. So fast forward the wait to that 12-week scan. Oh, I'm sure everyone knows that wait is, it feels like an eternity waiting for that 12-week NHS scan, right? So we went to that NHS scan. Babies, wow, I couldn't believe how much they'd grown. They were both doing really well, absolutely adorable. Sonographer was super happy because obviously they don't see twins very often. It's quite rare. So yes, because they were identical twins, which means an egg that's split. So they share the same placenta. They are in the same sac most of the time. Look how messy. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is what I mean, right? I'm never going to be perfect on here. Let's just say this now. I'm breastfeeding. I've got me coffee. Everything's all crinkled. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Okay. Right, so identical twins. And that meant that we were going to be having scans once every 2 weeks just to check everything, because there can be complications with twins. Everything was going well, and we got to 16 weeks, and I was so excited to go to that 16-week scan because I thought, they're going to tell us the gender, like we'll know if they're girls or if they're boys. I'm so excited. So we went. My first question was, can you see their bits? Like, can you see if they're girls or boys? And she was just silent throughout that whole scan. She was just so quiet. And I thought, you know, maybe she's just concentrating. So we stayed quiet, and then I started to get nervous, and I was holding Mikey's hand really tight. And then she said, just hang on a minute. I'm just going to get a second opinion. And then, like, my heart dropped. I thought, oh, there's a problem here. Came back and they said, twin 2 isn't growing how we would like her to grow. We can't really see her bladder, which is concerning, which means she's not drinking the fluid. Well, they wasn't saying she at the time, but yeah, they were girls. And yeah, so they were like, it looks like twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. So that is where one twin is receiving more blood than the other. They're not having an equal share of the placenta. So one twin doesn't grow as well as the other, doesn't get as much blood, which can harm the brain development of the baby. Baby's not growing enough, basically. So they referred us to fetal medicine, and it would be a week until we saw the fetal medicine team, which is, looking back now and the research I've done since, a week is too long, okay? They needed to see me that day, really. But anyway, that was the longest bloody week of my entire life. And I remember clearly it was a Thursday that we went to see fetal medicine. So the next Thursday we went to see the fetal medicine team. My consultant was an angel, absolutely loved her. She was so caring, so kind. She gave us our space that we needed. She was just a beautiful human, an angel. And yeah, she scanned me and she said, well, the good news is that I don't think it's twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, but what it is, I believe, is significant intrauterine growth restriction. So it's very similar to twin-to-twin transfusion, but it's basically one twin isn't growing as well. And that can develop into twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. But it was stage 3, and stage 3 is quite bad. We are sending you to London King's Hospital to see a world-renowned fetal surgeon called he's a professor, Professor Kypros Nicolaides, and he's actually got a program on Netflix all about this condition. So he's got like top of the art, like state of the art scanning machines, like proper scanning equipment, and he would be the one to perform our laser ablation surgery, which I'll explain what that is in a bit. So we met him, beautiful man. We got a private room, even had a shower in it. It was wild. It looked like a hotel room. His assistant was really lovely. He was funny. So he would make it a light situation in amidst the dark, which, you know, I love that. And yeah, they scanned me and they said, yeah, what they said at your hospital is right. You do have significant growth restriction on twin 2. Twin 1 appears to be perfectly healthy, growing as we'd like. And they went through the risks, the benefits and the risks, alternatives, and what we do if we did nothing. So they literally went through the brain tool that I teach on my hypnobirthing courses without me even having to ask. Like back then, I wasn't a hypnobirthing teacher. I had no clue what a brain tool was, but they went through it all. And they said, and you know, we came to the conclusion together as a team that this laser ablation surgery on my placenta would give both twins the best chance we could. Kypros Nicolaides was very honest, and he said, I don't think twin 2 is going to make it. And if she does, you'll probably only get to 28 to 30 weeks and will end up having to deliver the babies preterm, which was very scary. And there was a 40% chance, 40% chance of miscarriage of both twins if I was to go ahead with this surgery. But it was their best chance, because I'll tell you now, they were very, very certain that Aria, our twin 2, would stop growing. And the problem is when twins share a placenta in the uterus, when they share a placenta, they are sharing the same blood flow from the uterus, from the placenta to them. So they're sharing blood flow, they're sharing oxygen, they're sharing everything. Their blood vessels are connected. So one twin will get the blood, it will feed back through to the placenta, and it will go to the other twin, it will feed back through. So it's like the roots of a tree, and those roots are connected together at the top. So what would happen if one twin was to pass away is that the blood would stop going to that twin, but if it stopped going to the twin who had passed away, it also stops going to the twin who is still alive. And then that twin would either be permanently brain damaged if they were to survive, or pass away themselves. So my gut feeling was, we need this intervention, we need this surgery on the placenta to give them both the best chance. Now, I'm not saying if you're listening and you are going through this, I'm not saying that it would be the best choice for you. It's up to you to come to that decision with your healthcare team. But that is the decision we came to. So yes, the surgery was to be performed there. Like, they prepped me straight away because it was, you know, it's very important that we get this done. And I'll describe a little bit about the surgery. So what it was is they basically take a laser and they cauterize the blood vessel in the placenta that is causing them to share the same vessel of blood, basically. So by doing that, it then gives them both a separate share of blood. So by cauterizing that vessel that they share, basically cutting it into two and letting them have their own supply of blood rather than sharing it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So yes, they prepped me for it. I was petrified, absolutely petrified, but you know, the team were so lovely and so comforting. It made the situation better. And Kipros was like, get chocolate for afterwards. Get some chocolate for after, you'll need it. So yeah, we got chocolate, we got snacks, we were prepared. So yes, Mikey was allowed in there with me. And bear in mind, this was during COVID. So a lot of hospital procedures were, you were alone for all of these things, that all of these like antenatal appointments and surgeries that you need and all of that. My biggest question was, is my partner allowed to be with me? And yes, he was allowed. Thank goodness. So he was with me in the room. Ali is not playing ball today, is he? Yeah, so the laser machine was very noisy, and that noise will stay with me for life, for absolute life. It was quite scary, and every time they put the laser on, my stomach would jolt. It would do a big jolt from the force of the laser. Oh, and bearing in mind, they put a camera in my womb. I got to see them they were 16 and a half weeks gestation at that point, and I saw Aria, and that will stay with me. Like, we didn't get video footage or anything like that, unfortunately, but I've got the memory, and that's what matters. And yeah, so we had that. It was very painful afterwards. It took about 3-4 days to feel okay again, and then we were to go and have a scan. Okay, so they told me to keep an eye out for leaking clear fluid, and there were other signs too, but yes, I was leaking clear fluid on our way back up to Newcastle. So I was like, we're gonna have to go straight to the MAU. So I rang them, they were like, yep, come straight. I think we were about an hour away. And we went, and they took us into a scan room, and they scanned me, and you never forget. If you've lost a baby in your pregnancy, you forget that moment of them saying there's no heartbeat. And yeah, they were like, okay, we could see twin 2. I'm so sorry, but there's no heartbeat. And then obviously I was gutted, absolutely gutted. As you can imagine, my partner started crying next to me. And I just expected the worst. I expected them to find twin 1 and say she had passed 2. But they found twin 1, which is Isla, and she was completely fine. He was like, she's good news, she's fine. There's a strong heartbeat there. Her size is great. It's everything we'd expect for this gestation. You should go on to have a normal pregnancy from now onwards. Well, normal in quotation marks. It was really hard. We were crying our eyes out. The consultant that scanned us looked absolutely gutted as well. And yeah, we went home. And silly me, I'd already gotten 2 Moses baskets. Why? I don't know why. They were given to me for free, but they were there. They were just there in the living room, 2 of them staring me in the face as I went home. Awful. An absolutely awful time. So yeah, I spoke to a grief counsellor following that. My pregnancy carried on. We were having scans every week just to check on Isla and make sure she was okay as well. And it went on and on and on. And I know Jessie from Little Mix, she's just had twins, and they had twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, and she had the laser on her placenta. I think she's just given birth actually, which is great. Hopefully both of her twins are well and healthy. And yeah, my pregnancy went on, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more uncomfortable. We were reaching the end. Unfortunately then, my favourite dog in the world, Alfie, passed away. Do you know what? It was just the worst year of my life, let's be honest. It was horrendous. So yeah, I was grieving Aria, I was grieving my dog. Oh, just awful. We get to the end. Isla's a breech baby. I was about 36 weeks at this point. I hadn't done hypnobirthing. I'd watched a few YouTubes on hypnobirthing. I did some meditations, but I just thought, this isn't for me. Like, I'm a high-risk pregnancy. Hypnobirthing's just for people who are low risk. And we know that couldn't be further from the truth, right? You can do hypnobirthing no matter what. We know that now, but I didn't know that at the time. So I didn't do any hypnobirthing. So I had no idea on my options. I didn't have a clue. So I just thought, breech baby, that means cesarean, right? So I went in. She was like, it's a cesarean or an ECV where we manually turn her. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to stress Isla out any more than she already had been stressed out in my womb. So yeah, we had planned a cesarean for 38 weeks. It was scheduled in for the 25th of January 2022. So we went in for that cesarean, and I can just only describe it as a very strange experience. I couldn't sleep the night before. And I'll just briefly go through this because I will do a separate episode on both my birth stories. But yeah, we went in, smooth cesarean experience. They lifted her up. They were like, here she is. And I'll never forget that feeling of her being put on my chest. It felt like I'd won the lottery. Like, that's the only way I can describe having a first baby, is feeling like you'd won the lottery. We did eventually see Aria, but not in the hospital. And yes, we did skin to skin, established breastfeeding and all of that. So going into postpartum now with my first baby, Isla, I definitely had PTSD. I didn't seek help, but I had severe anxiety, severe feelings of dread. I would have nightmares, sleep paralysis. I kept having nightmares of something happening to Isla. I would see Aria in my sleep. It was just a lot. It was a scary time, really hard time. But in the light of it, I gained trust back in my body through breastfeeding Isla, and you know, it established a really beautiful bond between me and her. So we had our struggles breastfeeding, you know, it's a learning curve, breastfeeding, but we did it. It was going really, really well, and I was getting her out to baby groups from 3 months old. I was getting my zest back, my life back to normal, but obviously I was still grieving Aria, and we did lovely things. We found a gorgeous charity called Twins Trust, but it's now run by somebody else. But Sharon, who used to work at Twins Trust, the new charity is called Footprints Baby Loss. So definitely check that out if you've lost a twin before and you're listening to this. But yeah, the charity really helped me. We planted a tree. We would do things to remember her all the time. And yeah, that was really healing. Just like having something to basically help me be a mother in loss and in life as well. And I really learned that joy and sorrow can exist together. They can exist at the same time. I loved being at home with Isla. I loved being a mum. And I was like, I need my own business so that I'm my own boss. I can work around my family. I can have more time for them. And then that's when I found Love Your Birth. I found Abby, and it aligned so well. Like, yes, I hadn't done hypnobirthing before, but I could use my experience to help others with my hypnobirthing tools. So that is what I did. I trained up as a hypnobirthing teacher, and I've never looked back. I became a birth nerd very, very quickly, and I knew from that I wanted my experience next time with my second baby to be completely different. I wanted to really enjoy my pregnancy. I wanted to plan for a physiological birth that was undisturbed and beautiful. I really, really wanted a home birth after cesarean. So yeah, fast forward to when she was 2, she might have been 2 and a bit. We planned to try for our second baby. Beginning of my pregnancy with Ali, I used all of my hypnobirthing tools and techniques. It was very calm. It was a beautiful pregnancy. I felt really, really connected to Ali and the little soul I was bringing into the world. Just beautiful, beautiful pregnancy. It was quite tricky navigating the maternity system to get the support I needed for my home birth after cesarean. I was getting phone calls from my midwife like, oh, you need to have this growth scan or we'll take you off the home birth list. And I knew my rights and my choices. I knew I didn't have to do what they were telling me to do. In some things I jumped the hoops. Some things I agreed to that felt right to me, and other things I declined. And yeah, we started off at home. Very, very brief description. We started off at home. He was back to back. Things were taking really long. They were worried about my scar. And we ended up transferring into the birth centre where they had a room available with a pool. So it was a nice alternative. And when we went in, the interventions were coming thick and fast because they were really worried about my scar. And I was exhausted. It had been 3 days up to this point, and I made the informed decision using my brain tool and my gut feeling to have the hormone drip to speed things up. And I had an epidural along with that as well. So I did have a lot of intervention. And I was put on a clock, I was put on a timer, which was really hard as well. And in the end, I did it. I had my V back, which it was powerful. It was a very powerful, raw, messy, primal birth, but it's one I'm really proud of, despite all the intervention, despite it being like the total opposite of what I'd had planned. And that it comes back to my hypnobirthing tools and techniques, right? Everything, all the mindset shifts going in empowered and informed really made a huge difference. And I really truly believe that if I hadn't have done all of that, I would have seen my birth as very traumatic. I wouldn't be looking back on it in a really positive light that it was. So I'm really grateful for hypnobirthing, and I'm grateful for everything that I did, all the work I did during my pregnancy. And it wasn't work, it was relaxing, and it was bonding with my baby and connecting to my baby, which it served me now, because yeah, it's just been really smooth and really beautiful. So yeah, postpartum was hard, because Isla she was still being breastfed, and I tried tandem feeding, and I was getting severe aversion with Isla. It was really, really tricky. And I would feed them and I would just want Isla off. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It was like being a mammal who was rejecting her older baby, or her baby even. Like, I just wanted her off of me. It was just the worst aversion ever. And I quickly knew that tandem feeding wasn't for me. I've got some lovely pictures of them both feeding together, and you know, some beautiful moments too, of course, but it wasn't for me. So I made the decision to slowly wean Isla off. But you know what? I would drop not the morning feed, I'd drop the afternoon feed first, I think it was. And then from there, she was dropping them herself. So that was really nice, because I think she was ready as well as me in the end. But yeah, then came the maternal rage. I was getting really angry. Isla, like her transitioning into an older sibling, it was really hard for her to navigate this big change of becoming a big sister. Understandably, right? And I was so exhausted, so tired, and yeah, I would snap at her a lot. All my gentle parenting felt like it went out the window. And then I'd blame myself. The guilt would come at me really hard, and I'd feel like the worst, most terrible mother in the whole wide world. And I was telling myself these really negative things. And then from that, I became really depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't see any point in being here. I felt like they would be better off with someone else as a mum. I wasn't cut out for the job. Do you know what? It was so hard. I telly on for Isla all day long. We would never leave the house, and I just sit on the sofa and close my eyes while I was feeding Ali, just wishing the time away. I was finding hardly any joy in anything. Awful time. Really, really, really hard. And it was around Christmas time. So Ali was born in September, and around Christmas time, I sought help. I contacted my health visitor and my doctor. They put me on sertraline and referred me to talking therapies. So yeah, sertraline, it took about a long time, 4 weeks to work. But once it did, I felt so much back to myself. I felt reinvigorated. We got a puppy as well, Bob, not to mention, if you've seen on my Instagram, he's a reddish coloured Cocker Spaniel. So he's full of energy. And he saved my life, like, along with the sertraline. Bob has been incredible. He's been getting us out of the house, into the woods every day, near the sea every day, which is like beautiful because it clears my mind. And he's just been the most grounding presence to have. Ali. So yeah, it is chaos here, absolute chaos. And I will say, like, my story is wild when I talk about it and say it out loud. Like, the amount I've been through is insane, and the strength that I've gained from this, from my experiences, has just made me such a good person. Like, yeah, I will say that about myself. I want to help others, and going through tricky times in motherhood, like, it changes you. Your whole identity shifts. You go through so much mentally and physically. Ali, what's this book? It's a lovely rocket book. The challenges that we face every single day on a lack of sleep. And it's like, how are we doing this? We are superhuman, us women, us mothers. We are completely superhuman. And that's something to acknowledge and be really, really proud of. So yeah, like, that is my story, and everything has led me to today, to doing this podcast, to creating the Birth and Family Blueprint. And if you don't know what that is, it's a course I'm currently creating, which is a hypnobirthing course for birth, of course. But it goes beyond that, because I don't just want to prepare you for birth and leave you there. I want to leave no stone unturned. I want to help you use hypnobirthing for your whole family. So, like I mentioned, Isla had a tricky time becoming a big sibling. And I realised one day, once I was getting more back to myself, and you know, my postnatal depression was just calming down, and all my hormones were regulating again, and I felt more me. I was like, right, I am a hypnobirthing teacher. I'm a child development expert. I have everything within me that I need to use my hypnobirthing tools for my whole family. And yeah, it is really hard to describe in words the transformation from my dark moments. And I really think that not processing my first pregnancy and birth come back to bite me in the backside second time around postpartum. You don't think it will, but it does. So it is really important to process your difficulties from your first experience, and that's something I didn't do, and I wish I had done. But you know what? Everything has led till now, to here, this moment, this thing I've created, which is the Birth and Family Blueprint, bringing you these real honest conversations on this podcast. And yeah, I hope you're here for it. I hope you found comfort in my story today. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. So now it is time for our tarot pull. So a message for anyone listening who needs to hear it today. I cannot believe this card came up. It is Strength reversed. So when a card is in the reverse position, it usually means the opposite to that, to the upright way. So Strength reversed is basically that you have the strength within you to navigate any challenge. But as of right now, you are not believing that you have that strength. You might feel very down in the dumps. It's everything I've been talking about in this podcast today, which is wild. It's feeling like you don't have the ability to get out of this rut of feeling down, of feeling a lack of energy, a lack of inspiration, a lack of motivation. But when a tarot card is in the reverse position, it always has the ability to be upright. So it is letting you know that you have all the strength within you. Just think about your strength. Think about the fact you have grown a human. You've brought a human into the world, okay? You've birthed a baby. Your body has been through a huge thing. Your mind has been through a massive shift. Of course you're strong. Of course you're powerful. Of course you have everything in you to be that strength. You have the strength within you, okay? And the number 8, the numerology on the card, number 8 is infinite potential. And if you see on the card, if you have a look, if you're not watching on YouTube, have a look at Strength online, Strength Tarot card. She has an infinity symbol above her head. You have infinite potential to do what you want to do with your passions. And that's not just motherhood, that's career, that's everything. Infinite potential. So please believe in yourself. Please let this podcast, this episode today, be your inspiration. You heard my story. I've been through a really, really dark time more than once with both my babies. And look at me today, I'm thriving. I've got 2 happy kids, babies, 2 happy babies. I've got a crazy puppy. I've got a home to look after. I've got a relationship with my partner to upkeep. And I'm doing it all. Not to mention this business, this Hayley Rose hypnobirthing, this whole thing, the birth and family blueprint I'm putting together. If I didn't believe in my strength, I wouldn't be upkeeping all of that. If I can get through what I have been through, you can too. You can. I promise you, you can. So if you are feeling like that, please know you have it within you. Believe in yourself. Start telling yourself positive things. Look in the mirror and say 5 good things about yourself. You might not believe that you have it within you to do this, but you do. Look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I am strong. I am confident. I am kind. I am nurturing. That might even be more than 5. Okay, you can think of 5 things. Get your journal out. Jot down 5 things you're grateful for today and get the hell outside. Even if you've got to force yourself, get up. Get outside, because some fresh air will do you wonders. And I hope it's a sunny day where you are, because the sun always brings happiness too. So yeah, let me know if you've enjoyed this episode. I've had a lot of fun filming it, even though Ali has not been playing ball. I'm really sorry for the background noise. And I will see you in the next episode.